For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Check it out now.
The numbers told the story, they always do. It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. It is A Numbers Game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. Every taking us in, we appreciate it. It's Gill Alexander. This gentleman to my left is producer number 9. So much more than a producer. Kelley Bydlon, everybody. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Was that
I've also decided if I carry a gold pen, it makes me look far more studious.
Everything you punctuate
That's
your
right,
voice with
that? That is correct.
Start doing that. Hey, great that my computer's on the fritz. That's a good start.
Easel time.
Let's. This is okay. We usually do guessing lines on Mondays during the NFL regular season. Obviously, the regular season is now in the books. So we still talk about the lines. Obviously, that's the whole point of all this. And I did have guesses that I sent you last night, but I am aware of the lines now. But we'll tell you what the guess was, what the lines are, where the value is, according to this exercise.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you something in between breaks. Didn't it used to be a thing here in Nevada that they couldn't post lines until the game's schedule was announced, which I thought was weird. But then MGM was posting stuff immediately yesterday.
I don't remember that. Is that true?
I don't know. I might just be making that up.
Maybe. I mean, Chrissy always waited. My mishpocha, Chrissy Andrews at the South one, always waited till we did the show to post the lines. But I don't think that had to do with Nevada.
No, I mean like playoffs for when they were waiting. So like last night, right? We had the big gap of when games finished and when we knew games were going to be played.
So despite knowing the matchups, not knowing the schedule is what you're saying.
Correct. Yeah.
Huh. You could be right. I don't remember that, but you could be right. There's a lot of things I don't remember, Kelley.
Way to derail the show early, Kelley.
Yeah. Start again, shall we? Let's get through. We're off to a flying start. Let's get through the administrative stuff first. We always started out guessing lines with Survivor updates. Survivor obviously done. And the final answer of how many people get to chop the pot, and I get it, there were probably side chops. There were probably a lot of folks hedging on stuff. Regardless of those details, 8 officially. 8 end up in the choppity chop. 8 of them. $1.78 million is what they all split in the end. To be exact on that number, Kelly's already fact-checking me on this. It's $1.783 million. So $1,783,250 is what they all chop up. There were 18 going in, 8 eliminated on the Falcons, 2 on the Packers. Am I correct? You're looking at me funny.
Oh, no. I was just pulling up the winners for us to go
it's actually
over as well.
8. Yeah, it's actually 8 who finished. So out of the 14,266,000, 8-way chop, $1,783,250. Congratulations to everybody. We will obviously get into the details of the 8 that went down on the Falcons yesterday in overtime to the Panthers, and then 2 on the Packers.
Man, I feel like I've seen that name Whiskey Business before when we've gone over contest stuff.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
Shout out to all the 8 winners.
Congratulations,
C3
guys.
Picks, Dream Steaks, Meatball Brothers. I know they were on the show last night here in Circa.
You hit a 20-team money line parlay where you didn't get to pick the same team twice. It's just awesome.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. In a year of Survivor where the first 5 weeks were historic carnage, where over 98% were eliminated, and then the last stretch of the year up until the final 2 weeks was historic stagnation, where nobody got eliminated.
Yeah. You had, as we often do, though, especially when these contests come into play, I think we always go, or I always feel like we go into Week 18 kind of underselling how much drama we're going to have, and oh boy, did those guys have to suffer through a lot yesterday to get home.
Yeah, man, they did. But again, congratulations. What a contest, the greatest contest there ever was, and who knows how much the pot will be next year.
Yeah.
Who knows? Certainly higher than 14 million, one would anticipate. Okay. Then in terms of, we've already heard Dave did a great job this morning. Dave Ross did on By the Books of going through what's already happened. We knew yesterday Robert Kraft barely waited to fire Gerard Mayo. Of the Patriots' first-year coach does not get past the night of his of his final victory of the season as the Patriots finish 4-13. And my whole question with that always is, if you were going to fire him, why'd you let him coach the last game? Why'd you let him do that? Now he won. And now your draft pick is not nearly as good. Instead of having the first pick of the draft, you got the fourth pick of the draft. I'm not sure that was the death knell of all of it. Perhaps it was calling his players soft earlier. Perhaps it was the body of work, but he was gone quick. And then this morning, Kelley.
It is weird, though, right? When you make that decision, clearly they had made that decision well in advance of yesterday. And, I mean, how many times are we going to see this play out now? I mean, it's happened multiple times in the past few years where we get these coaches that go out and win the final game and you screw up the whole franchise's draft plans.
I think we refer to it as the Lovie Smith event happening.
Yeah, just just saw this a little bit before we came on the show. Number one pick odds. You know who's the favorite now?
I would imagine Cam Ward is now.
Cam Ward, minus 125 favorite now.
The Tennessee Titans on the clock with the number one pick of the draft. Browns 2, Giants 3. Those are all quarterback-needy franchises, one would imagine. And the Giants get the booby prize of being third in the end. Way to go, Giants. Patriots 4th now. Jaguars 5, Raiders 6, Jets 7. And you see the rest. There you go. Up until the Falcons the Bengals and Seahawks become the teams that get the booby prizes of best teams to miss the playoffs. So they get 17 and 18. But also this morning, Doug Peterson fired for the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. We also learned that Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen, coach and GM, respectively, for the Giants, they stay, as will both coach and GM for the Browns, the Colts, and the Dolphins. That much we know. So there you go on that.
Yeah, I don't think any huge surprises there, right?
No, I don't. I mean, Daboll staying and Schoen staying, a little bit of a surprise to me. Not like massively so, but somewhat.
I'm not as surprised as about Daboll. Shane's a little interesting. He's coming back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought Daboll would be the first one to go, even though Schoen botched the whole. I mean, listen, they signed.
It's not a great franchise.
Signed Daniel Jones, and then all ensued from there. Right.
Yeah.
All decision making ensued from there. Okay, shall we get into it? Because I have way too much to talk about on this show.
Yeah,
so many things. Let's do these chronologically. It is Super Wildcard Weekend, so you get 3 on Saturday. No, pardon me. 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. Let's start with Saturday.
Love the new format. All right, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern time, Chargers at Texans in their normal playoff time slot.
That was the first reaction to the schedule coming out. I was like, the Houston Texans streak is alive. They have been to the postseason 8 times, all 8 of which they get the early Saturday time slot. Tell me your franchise is not valued without telling me your franchise is not that valued. The number 5 seed Chargers get it done, and they get it done because the Steelers lost on Saturday to the Bengals. The Chargers beat the Raiders yesterday, and therefore the Chargers move from the 6 seed to the 5 seed, the coveted 5 seed, to get to travel to the Houston Texans, who we talked about last week, probably the team in the worst form headed into the postseason in either conference. Houston started C.J. Stroud yesterday for a drive. He was perfect on the drive, 6 for 6 for 50 yards, got a touchdown pass, and that was that for C.J. Stroud. It was Davis Mills from that point forward. Again, in the line, that was the one thing I got right yesterday more than anything, which is how are the Titans, how were they favored over and over? They were favored, then it went to a pick 'em, and then before the game they went to be favored again, and it's like they still the Titans. They're still the Titans. And there was decisions in that game that corroborated the handicap, which is we're just going to kick a field goal here. There's a lot of that.
I finally joined you. I took a piece of first half, so that was good. I was shocked to see it over the when it moved back yesterday before the game. I was like, all right, like I got to get on the Texans here, like at least a little bit.
So I guessed here Chargers minus 2.5 on the road at Houston, and the line ended up being.
Yeah, it's 3 pretty much everywhere right now. There were 2.5s out there yesterday when this first opened, but yeah, it is basically blanket 3.
Least exciting game from a fan standpoint? I mean, they're all exciting, but if you had to rank them, least exciting?
Oh, good question. I hadn't thought about that.
Remember, they reseed in the NFL, so we don't know necessarily who the winner plays.
I'm going to go with no, because I expect one of these other games to be a blowout. So as long if you prefer closer games between 2 teams that aren't as good, then yeah, I don't think this is the least exciting.
Let me go through some rando just some rando notes. These qualify as just interesting stats, interesting notions from what happened, but it ties into what the Chargers did this year. You tell me which of these is interesting to you or not. Maybe none of them are. Maybe all of them are. Hardest strength of schedule this year. This is of the 14 playoff teams.
Okay.
Hardest strength of schedule when all is said and done. Green Bay, 533 opponent aggregate win percentage. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they played the Lions twice and the Vikings twice, and that's a 15-2 and a 14-3. And we'll obviously get to that game. Easiest strength of schedule ended up being Washington, 436 opponent aggregate. Now, that's the strength of schedule. How about strength of victory? Okay. These are the best and the worst of the 14 playoff teams in terms of the aggregate win percentage of those that you ended up beating. The hardest or the best strength of victory. Best strength of victory, Baltimore, 525. Worst, the LA Chargers, 348. This team feasted on crap.
Yep.
So for all the hype, which is justified on Jim Harbaugh's first season. By the way, shout out to Matt Humans because he got this team more right than anybody before the season started when he was strong on the over. It was the schedule, right? More than anything, it was the schedule. Now, Justin Herbert's awesome, no question about that. But just keep that in the back of your mind, that this was a team that feasted more than any other playoff team in terms of their victories on poor competition.
Yeah, I think this is a really tough game to bet a side on. I bet the total. I bet under 44 yesterday. I think with how good the Texans defense is playing, them at home, I think it's going to be a tough task for either one of these quarterbacks to put up big numbers. So I bet the under. As far as side goes, Gill, man, it'd have to be Texans or pass. I still think this is a lot. I didn't bet anything, but man, for the Chargers to be laying a full 3 on the road, I'm a little bit surprised by it.
I don't love this game either way on the side.
Yeah.
A lot of the reason having to do with who did the Chargers necessarily beat? The Texans look the worst. I mean, with apologies to their performance yesterday, which was fine against a crappy team in the Tennessee Titans. But it's not a game I gravitate towards on the side.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. I'm with you.
We will get to the other games, of course. More little factoids from the season that you may find interesting or not. You be the judge. It's a Monday after the season, heading into Super Wildcard Weekend, right here on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Oh, I got big news. We got big news today here at VSiN. Yeah. We are returning to Sirius XM. Yes!
Let's go.
Starting January 17th, VSiN's 24/7 programming will be available on Sirius XM channel 158. And the Sirius XM app, of course. In addition to the new channel, listen to this, VSiN will produce a new show for Sirius XM, VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio, hosted by Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson, our boys. We love Patrick and Dustin. Mm-hmm. Debuts tonight, by the way, their show from 7 to 10 Eastern on Channel 82. That's VSiN Live on Mad Dog Radio every weeknight from 7 to 10 Eastern. And coming January 17th, VSiN Channel 158 on Sirius XM. Let's go. And now, Kelley, when all your friends finally ask, this is a very personal note from all of us, when your friends ask you, hey, where can I hear you? We can say simply, Sirius XM 158.
Yep. I mean, and shout out to YouTube TV, though, I'll say, because there's a lot of from a viewing perspective, I have gotten 100%. That answer a lot more than I've maybe expected over the past 9 months to a year.
There's no doubt about that.
But yes, listening back on Sirius XM, I know you and I are pumped. We were both here, obviously, you from the beginning, and me as well, joined when we were on Sirius XM, so we're excited to be returning. Patrick, Dustin, awesome to see them back on Mad Dog.
That's their old stomping grounds.
That's their old stomping grounds, old show. I loved their show they did on Mad Dog. It was one of those shows that would talk about, I mean, obviously we're all talking gambling now, but they were talking about gambling a little, before PASPA and everything was repealed. It was great to drive around at night, listen to those guys talking about making live bets and stuff like that.
Yeah, Patrick was kind. They were both kind enough to have me on that old show once upon a time, and it was awkward because at one point I told them that my girlfriend really enjoys him, and it sort of went off from there.
Patrick, big star, man.
He'll invite me back. I don't know. All right, let's go to game number 2 on Saturday.
All right, game number 2 Saturday night, and we have Steelers at Ravens.
Steelers at Ravens. Oh, one of these great rivalries in sports. At least it used to be. Steelers end the season with 4 straight losses. We always knew the gauntlet was there. That was part of the handicap of the Steelers going under their season win total. We know that didn't happen. That Mike Tomlin magic beamed his way into another winning season, his 18th consecutive season without having a losing season, to be more precise. But they do lose 4 in a row at the end. They lose to Cincinnati on Saturday, 193 total yards of offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday against the now eliminated Bengals as well, but the Bengals didn't know that at the time. And then there's Baltimore, who beats Cleveland 35-10. If you were on the Cleveland side of that 20-point spread, you deserved better. Baltimore covers, and they become the AFC North champs with that win. That's what got them the 3 seed. Pittsburgh, by virtue of their loss and the Chargers win yesterday, end up in the 6th slot, so they have to travel to Baltimore. And Lamar Jackson, by the way, we'll get into MVP talk later in the week, I'm sure. But he ends the season with the 5th highest passer rating in a season in NFL history, 119.63. First ever with 40-plus touchdown passes and fewer than 5 interceptions, 41-4. First ever with 4,000 yards passing and 800 yards rushing, 41, 72, and 915, and led the NFL in touchdown percentage, yards per attempt, air yards per attempt, on and on and on. So I said, the thing about this spread, Kelley, is that they played 2 weeks ago in Baltimore.
Right.
So and I believe that was 7. So this
7.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, say I had it at 7. So this to me was anywhere between 7.5 and 9.5 per my rankings, because I've had Baltimore as my number 1 ranked team for a long time, and I've had Pittsburgh at the bottom of the top 10. For me, it was probably like 9. It was somewhere between 7.5 and 9.5. But I thought the guess that I had was 7.5. It ended up being more what I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look. 9, I think, was mainly the opener. We're 9.5 basically everywhere right now, which I don't know about you. I think makes a lot of sense from a book perspective, just to keep it out of teaser range, because there are teaser options this week.
Teaser protection is what that is. I only have one thing to say from that Baltimore game, and it's not the Michael Pierce interception at the end, which was hilarious, and everybody wished he didn't take a knee and that he kept running. Can I just, this has nothing to do with betting, but the Browns touchdown drive, when they eventually got their, 1 touchdown of the game, there was a play earlier in that drive, a few plays earlier, where Jamari Thrash looked like he had scored a touchdown. He caught the ball outside of the end zone. He then crossed the plane and then got the ball knocked out of his hands.
Gosh, I forgot.
Okay, and it went to review, and they ruled no touchdown. And the explanation given is 3 things have to happen. You have to. I don't know what the 3 things are, but the third thing that didn't happen was you have to, go 3 steps, survive the catch
to the ground,
right?
Or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, I get the explanation. Am I the only one, though, who was completely fooled by this? No. I believe, right, what has always been the case is that the goal line is some kind of magic plane.
Right.
I have actually had conversations with Mike Carey. Remember former NFL official Mike Carey? At the MIT Sloan Sports Conference, this was 12 years ago, where I talked to him about a specific play. It was in the Super Bowl that the Saints were in. Do you remember the Super Bowl where the Saints beat Peyton Manning and the Colts? There was a 2-point conversion in that game where Lance Moore caught the ball from Drew Brees. He was outside of the end zone. He turned around, and the ball went over the plane, right? He came back out, and the ball was knocked out of his hands. And it was ruled, because he crossed the plane, that it was still a 2-point conversion. To me, if you're in the end zone, this is how they've always, at least to my understanding, how they've always called it is, if you're in the end zone, right? And I always talked about how this inconsistency made no sense. But let's say you're 6 yards in the end zone, Kelley, and I throw it to you.
There are different rules.
You catch it, right, for a second, and then someone knocks it out of your hands. That's not a catch. But if you catch it outside of the end zone, you cross the plane, and then it gets knocked out, that to me was always ruled a touchdown. And so I'm just saying, it has nothing to do with betting, but after watching that on Saturday, I'm like, I have no idea about anything anymore.
It's another one of those. I
don't get it.
It's what do we always say? We thought we knew, 30 years ago, you knew what a catch was.
When you're a kid, you know what a catch is.
My eyes tell me that's a catch. My eyes tell me,
forget the eyes.
Caught the ball.
That's how they've ruled it before.
Caught the ball, take 2 steps, and I crossed the plane. I was more concerned when you first brought it, or when I first saw it. It was one of those. Okay, is this going to be a catch and a touchdown, a catch, a fumble, and then the ball goes out of the end zone and it's a touchback, the stupidest rule in sports? or is it an incomplete pass? And it's just another example of I don't know what a catch is anymore.
That was one of few things that I wanted to talk about. Like I don't get. That was why was that Thrash touchdown not a touchdown? Also observations from yesterday. Do the Titans wear throwback Oilers jerseys when playing the Texans to troll them? Why do they keep doing that? Why do they put throwback Oilers jerseys on when the Titans?
Okay, we did.
It's literally like your team left town and we're going to mock you for it.
Okay, we did. This was a story earlier in the year. Yeah, I think they're just trolling them now.
I would be irate. Like if a team left town, I know that I get it. They have the Texans now, but like that would drive me crazy. The other thing is, and I've meant to say this all through college football season. When did every college marching band decide that they were going to play cameos talking out the side of your neck? Do you know that riff they play? Someone who knows what I'm talking about, get back to me on that. Let me go back to like the sort of factoids here before we move on to another game. And you tell me if you find any of these. These are just facts and like interesting things from the NFL season. Stats, if you will. We already talked about hardest strength of schedule, best strength of victory. The Green Bay Packers, Kelley, 5-0 versus the AFC this year. 6-6 in conference, 1-5 versus their division.
Yeah.
1-5 versus their division.
It's a tough division, man. It's a tough division.
Again, they had the strongest strength of schedule of all the teams that made the playoffs. We talked about this one before. 3 teams this year did not score more than 30 points in any game this season. The New England Patriots, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the 15-2 Kansas City Chiefs.
It's wild.
That's a great one. San Francisco 49ers, combined CMC, Ayuk, Debo touchdowns last year. Combined McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Debo touchdowns last year, 40. This year, combined McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Debo touchdowns, 4. That's the only stat you needed before the season to know how this was going to go.
There was definitely a moment yesterday during that game, watching like bits and pieces of that Niners game. I don't know about you. I just shook my head multiple times. I'm like, how is this? How did they finish with 6 wins? Like it's shocking.
As Josh Jobs throws for over 300, and there's like multiple franchises that can't use him. Okay, by the way, the Niners also have made at least the NFC Championship or missed the playoffs entirely now for 21 straight seasons.
Wow.
That's bizarro.
Yeah.
You either make it all the way to the doorstep of the Super Bowl or you miss the playoffs entirely for 21 straight seasons. It's incredible.
That's crazy.
Washington, who only ended up 2 games worse than Minnesota and Philadelphia, which is just amazing as much as we canonize those 2 franchises this year. Washington's up 12-5. The Commandos have played Tampa Bay or Seattle every playoffs they've gotten into except once since the season after they won their last Super Bowl back in January of 1993.
Wait,
Gibbs
say that one again?
That every time the Skins have made the playoffs since Gibbs' last year, Gibbs 1.0, the Super Bowl years, they have played either Tampa Bay or Seattle in a historical sort of, weirdness thing every time except once that they've gotten to the postseason. Now, they only gotten there six times. But it's still weird that you end up playing either Tampa Bay or Seattle, which obviously they're playing Tampa Bay. We'll come back. More games. We'll get to the Sunday games next. Wildcard Weekend.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Ready to take your tailgate to the next level? You got to try Sewell's Barbecue. Born from a backyard cookout in a mason jar of unforgettable flavor, Sewell's has become a southern favorite, delighting taste buds from Georgia to the Carolinas. From smoky ribs, mouth-watering wings to the perfect backyard burger, Sewell's turns every bite into a flavor-packed experience. Order now at SewellsBarbecueSauce.com. That's SEWELLS BBQ sauce.com. Flavor this good is just a click away. Skill Alexander. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback. Bob C-137. You know how sometimes you parlayed division winners on June 27th, completely forgot anything about doing that, and wake up to a 20-1 payout because the Lions won, but you were mad last night that the Lions won? That's my day so far. A situation only bettors know. That's awesome. Good for you, man. 20-1. Kevin Ryan, Gill, Sam Darnold certainly played himself out of a big money extension last night. But am I the only one last night that thought McCarthy was the water boy? The Sam Darnold thing is interesting, Kevin, because it does, what the Vikings end up doing with him vis-a-vis J.J. McCarthy will come down probably to what they do in the postseason. Now as the first ever 14-win wild card team, as the Lions become the the ninth team to win 15 games in NFL history. Think about that separation. Hey, congratulations, Lions, for that win. You're the ninth team to win 15 games. Here's your number one seed. Hey, Vikings, you know that 14-win season? Yeah, you're the first ever 14-win wild card, and you get to travel to the Rams. Good luck to you. So I do think that Sam Darnold's fate will largely be tied into that, as superficial as that might seem after his great season. But when it comes to comeback player of the year, Kelley Bydlon, I actually think that hurt him last night. Because there is something about a standalone primetime game and a game with all the stakes. Yeah. Where these votes, some of these voters are going to vote now on this, right? It's a regular season award. That's their last memory.
Yeah, I got some tweets and texts, and you're right. It probably will matter. It shouldn't matter at all. I mean, that was the whole point.
It should
that I was
to some
making.
degree, but it should matter, fractionally. But it'll take on.
It should not matter at all because he shouldn't qualify for the award.
Oh, I see what
That's
you're
what I'm
saying.
saying. That shouldn't matter at all because he should not qualify for the award.
He's getting angry.
As far as Minnesota and Darnold next year, am I the only one? I feel like I'm the only one saying this, but I actually think it's pretty easy. Like, you franchise Darnold. Like, I know you're paying big money for 1 year, but why are you really ready to commit long term to Sam Darnold? No, I wouldn't be, but I'm also not ready to let him just walk away. And you have no idea what you have in a rookie quarterback. So franchise, then you got two quarterbacks next year to battle and figure it out. And Sam Darnold, look, we've seen this this year in the NFL. Put a little pressure on some of these guys to go out there and perform.
Isn't that amazing? Hey.
Oh, Russell Wilson's a good quarterback again? Wow.
Don't give him 3 seconds to pass. Look what happens. Jason H11. VSiN is back on Sirius. I would like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for delivering me from iHeartRadio hell. Well, we'll still be there.
We will still be on all the iHeart places, yes.
Yes. By the way, we
appreciate all of our iHeart stations that carry us. Thank you.
On a related note, I hope when Jake Retzloff wins a college football playoff game next year that he recites his entire Torah portion. I say that on behalf of an entire portion of our audience. James Fessler, congrats to 8 Circus Survivor winners, $1.78 million each. Hear people say it's just a 20-team moneyline rollover. We didn't say just it. We said it's amazing. He said, computed 2 of the paths, and yep, it is. If you want a lower return and no blue jacket, pony up the 1K and embrace the sweat. What he's saying is that if you did a 20-team moneyline parlay, you would only win $180,000 as opposed to 1.78 in the chop.
Gill always describes it that way just to describe how difficult the path is to get there, not how much money you're...
I'm not trying to equate the two. Jonathan Doe. Kelley's hair is now so long that he now has a part on the right side of his head. Looking good, Kelley.
I've just kind of styled it a little bit differently. It's not actually that long, though. It's deceiving.
Is that true that you changed the part side?
No, not at all.
Okay, I was going to say. Ben Handorf.
Not at all.
Ben Handorf. The Chargers feasting on crap? Now there's a visual to start our Monday morning. LOL. Sorry about that, Ben. Dave Christopher. Love that my Falcons continue to set new NFL first. First team in NFL history to lose 2 straight overtime games without touching the ball. Good grief. Sorry, survivors. Yeah. Let me just say this. That week 18 in the NFL, at least the early window yesterday, proved to be awesome. Because we ended up having the Bucs, Falcons, who's going to win the NFC South and make or miss the playoffs happening concurrently. And we had the seeding between the Commanders and the Packers, who's going to end up 6 or 7 happening concurrently. That was awesome. But yes, the Falcons, at one point, the Bucs were way down to the Saints, but then they overcame, and the Falcons knew they were going to be out of the playoffs if they saw the scoreboard. But they didn't know that 8 survivors were on the line, 8 survivor entries. So that was the whole thing. So that part was awesome. But yes, here's the thing. If you're the Falcons, Michael Penix looks great. You have that to at least hang your hat on moving forward.
Yeah, he looks good. This is, look, I know I know Red Zone gets a lot of credit throughout the year. I thought yesterday was one of their best performances. Awesome. Hanson, the producers, directors, everybody involved in that show, because they spent the right amount of time on the games that mattered, and the ones that did not matter, it was pushed to the side. We'll work in when we need to.
Let's go to Sunday. Let's get one in.
All right, Sunday, 1 Eastern, Broncos at Bills.
Number 7 seed Denver Broncos at the number 2 Buffalo Bills. The Bills, who they got Josh Allen his start. He didn't play one drive. He played one snap to get his streak to 115 consecutive games starting at quarterback. So good on Josh Allen.
Do you
good
have
on
an
the
issue
Bills.
with that at all?
No, I don't.
Me either. I actually like it because I feel like I've seen some people have an issue. No, it's you're not playing in this game because you don't have to play in this game.
Yeah.
But you could have to play in this game if you were in someone else's shoes. So let him take a snap, extend the streak.
It's Favre-esque. It's Brett Favre-esque. On the field stuff, not off the field. You know what I mean? So the Bills end up losing to the Patriots, which is more of a Patriots story than it is a Bills story because the Bills were locked into the number 2 position while the Patriots messed up their draft position. Denver, and by the way, I couldn't have been more wrong about this Chiefs thing. It took one drive, maybe 2, to realize, oh, I should have seen this coming. The Chiefs could not care less. And I really was convinced the Chiefs were going to cover this spread. And I'm just like, oh, this is so wrong so quickly. The Chiefs just laying down. Denver crushes them. They scored to make it 7-0 on the first drive. Knicks to Mims for 32. Then after a Kansas City 3-and-out, Denver went 10 plays, 85 yards. First drive was 6-70. This one was 10-85. Knicks to Sutton for 10. Set up by Knicks to Sutton for 47. 2 plays earlier, 14-0. Then another Kansas City 3-and-out. Then an 89-yard drive. Knicks to Devon Vele off 2 deflections, 21-0, and the route was on. 38-0 is the final. By the way, let me just say this, because the only thing to say about this game is that third touchdown that made it 21-0. This was the double deflection from Knicks to Devon Vele that was a touchdown. And I just, ladies and gentlemen, by request, a Jim Nance Tony Romo opera for your listening entertainment. I actually went back and transcribed this.
Oh, good. I can't believe I didn't text you this.
Just took an inordinate amount of time, but I did anyway. Nance with the perfect call. Roll it out. Looking for the rookie. Ball tipped and caught. Oh my gosh, the double deflection and a Denver touchdown. And now, ladies and gentlemen, pregnant pause. Tony Romo in the moment. I know it's incredible, but I think he might have been out of bounds. Oh man, I don't want to because you had such a great call. But let's see if Let's see if Troutman touches it before right there. Does he touch the ball? If he doesn't touch it, it's going to stand. Does that touch? No, it's going to stand. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. We already knew it.
With a lot more, did he touch it? I don't know, Jim.
The best part was, I know it's incredible, but I think, this is with all the pauses, I know it's incredible, but I think he might have been out of bounds. Oh, man, I don't want to because you had such a great call. But let's see. And here's the killer who goes, if a Denver. He goes really soft. It's like, okay, thanks, Tony.
I can't believe I forgot to text you. I was dying laughing when I heard that yesterday. It's like he's playing into the bit now almost. It's just the guy who does the impressions of him. It feels like Romo's trying to copy him now.
A caricature of himself.
Yeah.
Denver, with the win, clinches the number 7 position, of course, in the AFC playoffs. Cincinnati's win on Saturday created a situation yesterday where Denver still had to, if Denver won, they were in no matter what. But had Denver lost this, the order was, hey, then Miami would get in with a win. If both Denver and Miami lost, Cincinnati would get the 7th position by virtue of their win on Saturday. By the way, just the fact that Miami was still alive. The biggest upset going into Week 18 was that the Miami Dolphins still had a shot to make the playoffs, and not even a remote one. They just needed a Broncos loss and a Dolphins win, neither of which happened, by the way. But I'm just saying, I don't remember a year going into the final week where we talked less about a football team than we did about the Miami Dolphins.
I also, 5 weeks ago, I think I would have been shocked to say I'd rather see the Broncos in than the Dolphins in, but oh gosh.
Tyreek Hill already throwing a tantrum on social media saying he's done. Yeah, well, it's not up to him. I said Buffalo minus 8.5, and I ended up being a little low on that.
So this opened 7.5. I bet it at 7.5, laid 7.5 with the Bills. It is out to 8.5, 9 right now. 8.5, 9.
And I don't think anybody would argue with that.
No, though I feel like I'm hearing early support for the Broncos.
Yeah, of the big dogs, you think that, talking about Pittsburgh and Denver. You think Denver's the more likely to cover?
I bet the Bills, so... No, yes, Denver more likely than Pittsburgh.
Okay, all right. More games to get to? Super Wildcard Weekend here on a numbers game at VSiN.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We're getting ready for Big Game 59. You know that big game where there have been 59 of them? With a big deal to match. Save $59 off a VEASAN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code ANG. What's that promo code, Kelley?
ANG.
Become a VEASAN Pro annual subscriber. Bet smarter all year long with full access to our daily best bets to help you cash more tickets. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa. 24/7 video access to tune in anywhere on the VEASAN Watch app. Plus all our betting guides and expert picks for the Super Bowl and upcoming March Madness. Don't miss out on this big game deal. Visit VEASAN.com/subscribe. Use promo code ANG to save $59 off a VEASAN Pro annual subscription today. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Drew from Boise. Just wanted to say thanks to both of you again for all you continue to teach me. Parlayed that into winning the Average Joe competition on the Friday Football Invitational. Congratulations, Drew.
Let's go.
From Boise.
There we go.
Hey, whatever amount we helped, let's go. Well done. Terry Elkins.
Yeah, Bill had all those details in the morning newsletter today.
Check it out from Bill 80. His late night become your mornings or something like that. Can't remember what they say. Terry Elkins, are y'all still going to be on iHeart? Yes. Rich PSM, God exists. You're back on Sirius and no more car accidents trying to connect to you guys while screaming at your replacement network, suggesting live unders at exactly the wrong times. Kiss the degenerate. So, I no longer have to spend a half hour searching for ANG on that other platform I won't name. Returning to Sirius XM is so freaking awesome I can pee my pants, he said.
I already have.
Is there a better promo than I can pee my pants? Come on. Well done. Kiss the degenerate. Stringfellow Hawk. Thank you for someone knew the end. He goes, Cameo's horn section slaps. HBCUs have been playing since I was in school 30 years ago. I wonder how many people know the song. What I was referring to earlier. Every college football marching band plays the riff to Cameo's mid-'80s hit, Talking Out the Side of Your Neck. You know what I'm talking about? It goes...
I mean, no, not
every
at all.
one of them.
Please keep going.
Okay, that's all I got.
I would like you to do the entire horn section.
That's the horn section. John B. Stringfellow Hawk knows what I'm talking about. John B. Great call on Bo Nix to lead rookie quarterbacks in passing yards. He got that 8-1. Good on you, John B. World B. Free. I played the Vikings to make the playoffs at 3-1, while the Broncos ticket was plus 790. Peyton for Coach of the Year. By the way, we were throwing about this around yesterday. Does that game last night hurt Kevin O'Connell for Coach of the Year? I don't think it should.
Okay.
You're still 14-3 with Sam Darnold.
We talked about this on Friday. We both said, no, it would not matter.
And I did say, unless it's a blowout.
It feels like it might end up mattering a bit more than I was expecting.
When we get to that game, I would like to make a case that it wasn't as bad as it seemed. Like, in other words, I get it, the final score was a blowout and the Lions ran them out the building in the last quarter and a half. But literally, like, that game should not have been a blowout.
It shouldn't have been as bad as it was. A real quick Friday football invitation, Chuck Edel with the winner this year, so congratulations to him. Alex White comes in second.
Hey,
and
Alex, way to go.
Chris Felica will take home third if Montana State covers against North Dakota State tonight, allegedly. Is that a game tonight?
Who was that you mentioned? Chris, who was that?
Chris Felica. Chris Felica.
I don't know that name.
The Bear used to do a show.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Give me the hook, Jeff G. 73 out of 100. Oh, this is, he's tweeting, the top 100 most watched U.S. broadcast of 2024. 73 of the top 100 National Football League games. So for anybody who thought that the NFL ain't king, there you go.
You know what? I'm going to guess that's down, Gill.
Oh, you think it was more than 73?
No, I think that in
previous
5 years ago, it's actually more than 73.
Oh, well,
it's a lot of
you got
NFL
nothing but time on your
list.
hands, Kelley Bydlon. Do some research on it.
I've got so many tabs pulled open already. I gave Gill the full breakdown of the Houston Oilers throwback uniforms.
That'll keep him busy. Jason Stark. Hey, Gill and Kelley. Steelers. Oh, Jason Stark's a big Steelers fan. He didn't like the fact that I said they ended with a whimper, apparently with 4 losses. He said Steelers with a tough end to season, but still were 11-6 against the spread over their season win total and made the playoffs at 3-1. Very profitable season for Steelers bettors. No doubt about that.
They were awesome. Gill and I paid for it.
Yes, we did. Only team to have winning record ATS last 3 years in the NFL. Okay, I get it already. Steve the Proxy.
It's also Jason, dude. Jason knows what he's doing every time now, too. We're sorry. Tomlin's awesome. We were wrong.
Brian Morianen. What level of irony would it be if Denver somehow knocks off Buffalo and then KC after KC laid down, allowing them to get in? Oh, that would be more than ironic. That would be amazing.
Don't you think?
Yeah. By the way, I've said this before. Alanis Morissette. Just coincidences, not irony. She got it all wrong. She needs to change the song. Steve the Proxy.
On your wedding day?
Steve the Proxy. I don't know if I can read that. Ben Handorf. Gilly. I've been mentally disagreeing with you about the Lamar versus Allen MVP debate, but I see the light now. A historic season from Lamar and all measures should give him the award, but it goes to Allen because voters are fatigued by Jackson's greatness. Yeah, that could be it, right?
Yeah,
it could just be that in the end.
It very much could be. It's like having 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife.
Oh, it's what I said the other day.
Yeah,
the hell are you talking about? What do you mean?
Sports. I just saw the ridiculous lines from that song.
Yeah.
I think that's one of them. I think that's one of them.
Next game, what do we got on Sunday? Triple header Sunday.
By the way, do you like this schedule?
I do.
I love it. I
am a little annoyed Saturday morning, but I know that the reward for having an empty morning is that then you just get a cavalcade of games.
My only change would be the Saturday games. I'd like to slide a little earlier, but I feel like that takes you out of traditional football time spots, and then
this is arguably the greatest weekend that's ever coming. The two semifinals in college football followed by this Super Wildcard Weekend.
Yeah, you're right. Arguably best football weekend ever. Broncos at Bills.
We already did that one.
We did. You're right. 4:30 Eastern. Packers at Eagles.
He's got one job. The 7th seeded Packers, the number 2 seeded Eagles. Eagles took care of the Giants yesterday. This is interesting because we do think Jalen Hurts is playing, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because here's the thing about concussions, right? With other injuries, you can say, oh, it's 2 to 3 weeks. Oh, it's day to day. Oh, it's whatever. A concussion, you don't know. He passed everything. He's definitely playing, for sure. Green Bay yesterday, this had to do with 2 survivors also who had the Packers. This is one game I do want to go through.
Okay, so real quick to your point about that, though.
Yeah.
He did not practice at all last week.
That's what I'm saying.
So, and he has to log, 4 practices or whatever to work his way through the concussion protocol.
I'm just saying it's potentially the biggest story of anything.
Correct. That nobody's talking.
That nobody's really talking about. Like, we're just assuming he's playing, Jalen Hurts. Okay. Green Bay loses to the Bears. Bears snap their 10-game losing streak. Mazel tov to the Bears. Bears score first when they put 2 punt returners back, one on each side of the field. One acts like it's coming to him. The punt coverage team doesn't look for the ball, so they just assume that guy's getting it.
Love this.
And then it goes to the other side of the field. Josh Blackwell jogs 94 yards to the house.
I love that
It's awesome.
play. I love it.
Tried and true, great one. By the way, I'm so glad more teams are using the hook and lateral now because it's just impossible to stop. 14-3 Chicago. Love hurts his elbow. Jordan Love hurts his elbow and has to leave the game. Malik Willis in. Not to return. Willis came in, 7 plays, 63 yards. Jacobs wins from 9, cut it to 14. 14-13 at halftime, the Bears lead. Let's go to the second half. Green Bay, 4th and 3 at the Chicago 37. They go for it. They fail. Reed, 2-yard loss. Then Chicago, 8 plays, 61 yards. Caleb DJ Moore for 32, mostly yak, touchdown. 20-13 Bears. They decide to go for 2. They fail, but there's a defensive hold. So they get the ball to 1. You know what they say after that?
Oh, my God.
Let's just kick an extra point.
What?
It's like, what are we doing? I don't even know.
I don't even know who's on the broadcast, but good call because they were calling about like this doesn't make any sense at all.
Sure. You went for it at the 2, but now you're kicking at the 1. Great. 21-13 Bears, 10:02 left. Okay, later. Green Bay, 4 plays, 51 yards. Willis to Heath for 41, then Emmanuel Wilson for 21. 21-19 Bears, 2-point try fails when the ball just slips out of Willis's hand. 4:28 left. Chicago, with Love warming up now, the drama between Green Bay and Washington, because Jordan Love is now like a Willis Reed thing, warming up on the bench, like, oh, he's going to come because now they see Washington's losing to Dallas. We can get the 6th seed. Oh, boy.
Did he sprint out of the locker room, too? Like, at some point, I saw him running on the sidelines. So like, what's Jordan Love doing?
He never came back. Chicago, 1st and 20 at their own 47, 1:55 left. Remember, they're nursing a 2-point lead. They're trying to just run clock. Caleb to DJ Moore hit by Carrington Valentine. Fumbles recovered by Javon Bullard. Green Bay set up at the Chicago 43. 1:49 left. Love does not enter the game. It's Willis still in with 1:31 left in the game. The Packers run the ball on 2nd and 4. Instead of draining all the clock and using one of their 3 timeouts, the Packers snap the ball with 15 seconds left on the play clock on 3rd and 2 with 1:05 left on the clock. Then the Packers call timeout at 58 seconds. LaFleur would later say they were deciding whether to go for it or not. 4th and 4 at the Chicago 37. They elect to try a McManus 55-yard field goal. Good. Corkscrews in. Looked like it was going to be terribly low wide left, and instead he makes it 22-21. But because of LaFleur's botchery, they leave 54 seconds left on the clock. Chicago starts at their own 20 with 48 seconds left. Horschauer tackled to start, goes to 3rd and 11 at their own 49 with 14 seconds left. Caleb to Moore for 18, spikes it with 2 seconds left. Santos from 51, good. The Bears snapped the 10-game losing streak. Green Bay ends up as the number 7 seed, even though Washington was winning anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. They held the Bears to 224 total yards. 2 survivors, thanks to Matt LaFleur, eliminated. Oh.
The numbers told the story, they always do. It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you're taking us in, we appreciate it. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon. Soon to be back on Sirius XM. Can't wait to add that.
Yeah, man.
That's going to be front and center, baby. Love it. Because this is the problem. I don't know if it was great, and it is great. YouTube TV, as you say, most people take us in, I think, YouTube TV. But there is a certain group of our friends and acquaintances. I'll speak for myself, because I'm a little older than you, right? Who, when they ask me, I'm like, so it's YouTube TV, it's iHeartRadio, and they look at me like glazed over. But if I say Sirius XM, they're like, oh, I got that.
Yeah.
So there's that crowd.
No, it happens. I mean, you've brought it up as much as anybody, though. When anybody asks me that question, though, now going forward, it's still going to be start with the app. Like, the app has just gotten so convenient with how to watch, listen. Yes. I mean, if you got TVs to mirror stuff on, or whatever it's called, Apple AirPlay or whatever, all that stuff.
How far did the replays go back on the app? Do we know? I gotta check.
I don't know. Didn't you find something from 7 months ago or something?
From months ago, I did. Does it go back years? I have to check.
I don't know. Why Tom checks on it?
Tom checks on the job. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Steve the Proxy. So you mean to tell me that VSiN split from DK? We, the listeners, are getting everything back that we loved originally about VSiN, Sirius XM Watch app, while DK is out here making up paid subscriptions to further confuse and rip off players. Great job, VSiN. Yeah, he's on our side.
Yeah, no comment, but maybe tell the Busburgers thank you.
That's right. Exactly right. Martin Bernstein. Gill, I had the Bucks, Rams, and Ravens in a parlay. Watch the first half. Took a bath like James Conner, the gambler. Good start to the playoffs. Clippers dark horse. There's a lot going on in that tweet. Sorry about that, Martin.
Gambler.
Wow. This is from, Jason Stark was like, I wasn't upset about the end of the whimper they did, but you all said before the losing streak, you said don't disappear when they fall late. So I'm just taking my medicine with a spoonful of sugar, he says.
Oh, okay.
That's very nice. Love you, Gill and Kelley, he says. He says, bet the Steelers next year, or at least not against them. LOL. That's good advice.
I mean, Jason, if we're, in the tree of honesty here and openness, I tell myself that like every year, but then, a schedule comes out and we freak out over it.
Bobby Knuckles, the Robeo. He says, Mr. Kelley Bydlon, referencing verse 3 of the Alanis Morissette classic, Ironic. Song came out in 1996, same year as the legendary film Biodome. He says, traffic jam when you're already late, the no smoking sign on your cigarette break. It's like 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. It's meeting the man of my dreams and then meeting his beautiful wife. We all remember how she said that.
Oh, yeah.
And then meeting his beautiful wife.
If you said, Kelley, what are the odds this Bobby Knuckles tweet is having to do with Alanis Morissette song, it'll be like minus 10,000.
Ed Hamilton was on the fence about Lamar for MVP, but after checking my futures tickets, I wholeheartedly agree. I don't know what his futures tickets are, but okay.
Found one.
Mike Zill's Duke 90. New lyrics. Look at that back fly. Is it Charbonnet? Isn't it Coinky Dink? Don't you think? Yeah, it's all coincidence. Keen, Cranepool. Is this the Jokic Embiid MVP debate all over again? We can't give Lamar another MVP because he has multiples? Yes, that's how stupid it is, Cranepool. I agree.
Yep.
Frank Chukagian. Hope I said that right. At Frankie Baby 4. Because Frankie Baby 1, 2, and 3 were taken. He says, Hurts participated in a walkthrough at the end of the week. Pretty sure he's good to go. Well, I will back that up, Frank, by saying, if you believe in omens anyway, that the Philadelphia Eagles they put out something on Twitter yesterday from their Twitter account. Hurts was featured along with Jalen Carter and Saquon Barkley, and the caption said, playoffs start now. See you Sunday, January 12th. So if you believe Jalen Hurts being prominently featured there is a sign that he will play, well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expect him to play. I actually bet that game pretty heavily, Gill. But
by the way, I said,
but there is a concussion protocol that you have to go through that I don't believe he's technically begun yet.
If the game were today, he would not have passed anything yet.
If the game's tomorrow, he couldn't play.
So that's all I'm saying. It's when it comes to a concussion, it is very different from every other type of injury.
And like comeback player of the year, there are rules that are set in place that they have to.
That's right. I said Philadelphia -4.5 against the Packers, and you said this is the one that has moved the most.
This is the one that has moved the most. This opened 3.5, is out to 5.5 most places. I tied the Eagles into moneyline parlays with the Ravens and the Bills immediately as I saw that. I mean, there are Packers injury question marks, right? You have Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
I mean, elbows, last time I heard, were pretty important throwing a ball.
Elbows, a big deal.
And I mean, Christian Watson that didn't look good again yesterday.
Nope.
Man, have you ever seen a wide receiver
be hurt as much as him? And you still think there's such great upside with him, but he's hurt all the time. Who was it that was telling us? Was this Wyatt? Because Wyatt's a Packers fan?
Yeah, probably.
Where he said, somebody told me, yeah, Christian Watson would be the greatest receiver of all time if he had hands that are good for a receiver, something like that.
That was me. I forget what tweet I read about that.
Next. What's next?
All right, Sunday night. Gill, don't bother him. Commanders at the Buccaneers.
My dad used to say, don't call me, I'll call you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Washington gets the prime time slot, as they should. Can we just take a moment? 25 years, 24 actually, but I like to round up. A quarter of a century, Washington fans were subjected to the worst owner in the history of Earth. We thought it was a life sentence. A miracle happened, and it went away. And now this kid got drafted, and everything is glorious. The 12-5 Commandos at the 10-7 Buccaneers. By the way, let me just state on record, I'm terrified of this game.
I mean, because Baker Mayfield's the coolest quarterback that ever played the game.
I'd be terrified of any game, and I guess if I had to choose, this is still the matchup I'd want, but I'm still terrified. Washington beats Dallas, and, Jaden ended up playing a half, which was interesting. Mm-hmm. Didn't do much. And then Marcus Mariota came in, and boy, oh boy, that might have been the game of his career.
He looked great.
Wow. It was... Mariota got in immediately, 8-play, 70-yard drive to Ertz from 4 out, 10-9. Washington led. Then next time he got the ball, 8-play, 70 yards, Mariota in from 5, 16-12, Washington, 2-point drive fails. Then the next time he got the ball, they take over at their own 30. Actually, no, it was 2 times after that, so they did have 1 3 and out. But then they take over at their own 30. They're down 19-16, and they take over at their own 30 with 2:34 to go to McLaurin for 6, 2-minute warning. 3rd and 4 to McLaurin for 6, 2 plays later. To McLaurin for 13, gets to 4th and 1 at the Dallas 49. Mariota on a keeper for 33. Did you see Amari Hooker? Yeah. Amari Hooker of the Cowboys, safety, celebrating that they got stopped. Meanwhile, Marcus Mariota is running 33 yards. So great. The back camera. Then Washington uses their final timeout. They go to Ertz for 11. They spike it at the Dallas 5 with only 6 seconds left because the refs had a bad spot. So it took 2 or 3 more seconds off the clock. Then to McLaurin, corner of the end zone, the incomparable Terry McLaurin, everybody. 13th touchdown of the year for McLaurin. That sets the Washington receiving record for a season. And the Skins win it with 3 seconds left. How many cardiac games has this team had? The Hail Miriam against the Bears. The McLaurin 84-yard sprint to the house where they lose on the missed extra point to Dallas in their first game. Then, of course, the fantastic finish against Philadelphia in the closing seconds that Daniels engineered. Then the unbelievable win in overtime against the Falcons. Then this one. I mean, it's just amazing how many of these games with Washington, fantastic finish. And there was Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, who needed to win or have Falcons lose yesterday to get in. Well, Tampa Bay trailed against the Saints yesterday. This was the most surprising first half, I thought.
Shocking. Yeah.
16-6. The Saints led this game at the half, and then Tampa Bay did their thing. First drive of the second half, 10 plays, 72 yards. Mayfield to Payne Durham from 6 out, cut the lead to 16-13. But then Baker got picked off. It went to 19-13 Saints. Then Mayfield overthrew a wide-open Mike Evans. Then Jake Browning, the punter, dropped the snap, only got off a 14-yard punt. You're like, wow, Tampa Bay may lose this. But then Tampa Bay from their own 18, 4th and 8 at the they start the drive at their own 18. They get it to 4th and 8 at the New Orleans 42, after Baker was thrown for a 5-yard loss on a designed run. Baker to Jalen McMillan on 4th and 8 at the 42 for 33. For 33, and then Jalen McMillan gets up and mimics gunfire.
I can't. I was dying.
15-yard penalty. Which I know this is a serious matter. This always makes Kelley and I laugh because, again, the NFL with the hypocrisy. Because right after that, by the way, they go from the 9 back to the 24, then a holding. So it's 1st and 18 at the 32. Baker to McMillan in the end zone, tiptoes it inside the end zone, touchdown. Cue the cannons.
Fire the cannons, Tampa Bay. It's impossible. It's so hypocritical. It's impossible not to laugh at.
I swear. My dream is for us to be New England Patriots, where you throw me a touchdown pass, I score, and then I mimic.
I got to find that podcast. These guys did a great job.
Filling the musket with powder. Act like I'm shooting a musket. They flag me, and then after we score a touchdown, they immediately shoot muskets. The Colonials and the Patriots. I
texted you yesterday. The thing is, separately, neither of them are ridiculous, right? I want home teams and stadiums to be able to celebrate cool, and I understand what the NFL is doing with penalties. These just can't exist together.
The hypocrisy of the NFL is breathtaking. Next time, so it's 20-19, Tampa Bay. The only thing other noteworthy in this game is after they took the 27-19 lead on a 94-yard drive with under 2 minutes left, they got the ball back. Tampa Bay did. Now they've won. They're going to the playoffs. There's 36 seconds left. Mike Evans needs 5 yards receiving to get to 1,000 for the 11th straight season instead of just kneeling. By the way, it's an 8-point game, right? Something could happen. New Orleans could pick 6 and they could tie this game. So this is about their playoff lives, but they wanted to get Evans, their teammate, the record. So they set up a play. They get it to him. He gets 9 yards. He gets his 11th straight season of 1,000 yards receiving. Only Jerry Rice has more, 14. By the way, that matches Jerry Rice's consecutive streak of 11. And Mike Evans does, $3 million. Geno Smith busy getting $6 million incentives with the Seahawks, but he got $3 million for that. Good on the Buccaneers. I said Bucks -1.5.
Bucks 3.
Disrespectful.
I thought the ending of that game was absolutely nuts. Call me a million years old. The Falcons were going to overtime. How do you possibly run a play there and throw the ball?
I think everybody...
And it was awesome. It was awesome.
Everybody universally loved it, but it was amazing that there was a scenario where that could have killed them. Could have. Oh, boy. We'll get to the final game coming up. Numbers game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This segment of A Numbers Game is brought to you by Zyn nicotine pouches. There's only one number 1 draft pick. There's only one champion at the end of the season. And there's only one nicotine pouch brand in America that outsells the rest, and that is Zyn. Zyn is a smoke-free, spit-free, hassle-free nicotine pouch that can be enjoyed anywhere, anytime. Find your Zyn at Zyn.com. That's ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback from the best listeners in the game. Mike Rouse with the biting tweet here. He wants to know the real information. Want to know what he wants to know about the weekend?
What's that?
He said, sorry if I missed this at the opening, but can we get a Christmas tree removal update?
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in my life, in case you missed it, I had a Christmas tree present in my place of residence. This is, for a tribesman, a new thing. And so we carried it up the steps, and it was a sappy, needly mess. And I was like, wow, this Christmas thing is difficult. The removal went splendidly. Threw a bag on it, right? You can buy those bags, right? Deborah Song Fashion Style, she bought a bag. We got to the top.
Oh, wait, there's special Christmas tree bags
Yes,
now?
large Christmas tree bags. We threw it back. Now, getting it off the base has a little bit of a minor bit of spillage and needleage inside the house.
Is that one with the screws and everything?
Yeah, you just remove the 3 screws. But young Gracie did that, and then me and young Gracie, we just brought it down 4 flights. It was no problem. And then this little note about San Francisco. What you do in San Francisco is you just throw it out on the street, and they come pick it up. And so it was great. The removal's great. I'm all about the removal. The putting it up and stuff, carrying up the steps, that was for the birds.
It sounds like you're ready for a bigger one next year then. That's what it sounds like, yeah.
That's not what it sounds
like. It was too easy.
No, removal was great. I volunteer for removal duty. Thanks for asking, Mike Rouse. Jason Zenner. Early in the Packers game, there was a completed pass to Kraft, I think. That replay assist came in and changed to an incomplete pass. However, LaFleur had to challenge it and then it was overturned to be a catch. What a joke.
I caught this chaos. I actually didn't see the initial play, though.
It's incredible. And again, we said this here on a numbers game. Replay assist, there needs to be an investigation about this. It came into our lives unannounced, much like the dynamic kickoff. The use of that phrase came into our lives unannounced, like, hey, dynamic kickoff. Remember how Scott Hansen went crazy with that on Red Zone? We never heard it was called that. And then replay assist just shows up in our lives, and we still have no explanation. And by the way, we're headed into a playoffs. Maybe we should get one as to what this can be used for and what it cannot be used for. Because as Chris Hartman says in his tweet, Gill, would it be too much to ask the NFL to get a play clock with tenths of a second on it, and when it expires, the goalposts light up red a la the NBA backboard? Because replay assist apparently can't help on that. For instance, it's ridiculous. As my ear comes out. That's how fired up I got.
It is like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's even weirder that like the NFL doesn't comment on it ever.
They've got nothing to say. Why bother? They're too busy making money off you.
Yeah.
3JagH3131. Was Darnold seeing ghosts last night? Does that game hurt his comeback player of the year chances? Don't get mad, Kelley. Glad to hear VSiN's going back to SiriusXM. When can we start talking MLB monthly win totals? Wow, so many things to answer there. Yes, glad we're going back to SiriusXM. That's the highlight. When can we start talking MLB monthly win totals? When they post them MLB monthly win totals. Comeback player of the year, we talked about this. Let's get to that game because that was the highlight, of course, in terms of the marquee matchup of the weekend. It was the Sunday night affair last night, where the playoffs really began last night. Not really began, because both teams were in, but it was for all the marbles in the NFC. For the number one seed, the 15-2 winner would get the bye, while the 14-3 loser would get knocked all the way down to the number 5 seed and have to go on the road, perhaps to win 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl. And Detroit ends up crushing Minnesota 31-9. But Kelley, I just want to say this about this game last night. By the way, Minnesota now travels to face the Rams, which I guess is the final game of Super Wildcard Weekend, the Monday night game. But I just want to say this. And by the way, the Rams started Garoppolo. The Rams ended up covering the closing spread, but not the early spread. And the Rams had a shot to win, and Garoppolo threw the ball on the ground, which was awesome on fourth.
$6 million for Geno Smith.
$6 million because Geno Smith, he got him to 10-7. He got the Seahawks to 10-7.
10 wins.
Yards passing, and also completion percentage. 69 point whatever, he got over that.
Yeah, that was the one he was already over, but there was a chance he could fall below it. But $6 million. I want a movie made out of that. That's how much I care about this stuff.
Yeah, Garoppolo.
The $6 million game.
Garoppolo just threw the ball on the ground on a play down 30-25. 4th and 3 at the Seattle 9 to close the game. As far as the game last night, okay. Yes, the final score was bad. The Lions ended up crushing them. But I do think if you're a Vikings fan, as tough as this pill is to swallow, you can look back at much of this game and say, what could have been? Detroit punts to start the game, Minnesota punts. Detroit 78-yard drive, including a 4th and 5 at the Minnesota 39 to Jameson. Then Gibson from 25 at 7-0 Lions. Minnesota 3 and out. The officials miss a face mask on Darnold. He got face mask. They missed that call. So it's a 3 and out. Then Detroit goes 3 and out. Minnesota starts at midfield after a helmet to helmet, perhaps, that was not called. They get to 4th and goal at the 3. Darnold does not see a wide open Addison to the right, incomplete, intended for Jefferson. The Darnold overthrow parade had begun at this point. He was just airmailing a lot of wide receivers. Detroit gets an intentional ground. Detroit intentionally grounds. Goff intentionally grounds in the end zone, not called by the officials. So we have, forget the helmet to helmet because that was sort of subjective, but the face mask on Darnold, followed by the intentional grounding that was not called on Goff, which was clear intentional grounding.
Well, this is my problem with the rule always. It's clearly you're intended to you're grounding the ball, but there's a player that's in the area.
But he didn't even throw it to that area. He didn't.
You're not going to get me to disagree with you on this. I hate this part of the rule.
So I'm just saying the Vikings were getting the worst of it with the officiating, right? So 1st and 10, their own 26. Goff trying to go to Gibbs. He's picked by Ivan Pace Jr. Minnesota set up at the Detroit 7. Almost picked on the first play from Darnold, too high for Jefferson. Then he overthrows Jefferson again, so they had to settle for a Reichard field goal, 7-3 Detroit. Then Detroit 4th and inches at the Minnesota 42. I don't know what Dan Campbell was doing. He decided to pass, deflected by Jonathan Bullard. Minnesota takes over. They get another field goal, 7-6. And then a really big gaffe by Reichert. He kicks it out of bounds with 20 seconds left on the clock in the first half. So they had just cut it to a 1-point lead. He kicks it out of bounds. So Detroit starts at their own 40, 19-yard play, 11-yard play, 19-yard play, 10-yard play to St. Brown and to Raymond, respectively. Bates, 48-yard field goal, 10-6 Detroit going into the locker room. And let me just say, there was a timeout called by Kevin O'Connor way too early there. He did not have to call it as early as he did. And so he left the door open for a Reichert mishap on the kickoff. Mm-hmm. So you had bad officiating going against you twice. You had Darnold all of a sudden now overthrowing everybody like Ghost of Darnold passed. But give Aaron Glenn and the Detroit defense a lot of credit. They figured it out, right? Oh, Darnold has the most time to throw a pass on average in the NFL. It's like over 3 seconds, which is an eternity. So they're like, here's what we're going to do. We are going to send the house and bet on the fact that our guys are going to get to Darnold before our man-to-man coverage breaks down. And it worked all night. And so it was the officiating. It was the fact that the Vikings could not cash in on multiple red zone appearances, and then the gaffe by O'Connell and by Reichert at the end of the first half. It still wasn't over. Third quarter, by the way, Darnold had 8 overthrows in the first half, the second most for an entire game in his career. In the first half. All right, third quarter, it's still 10-6. Minnesota goes 70 yards. Akers for 58, the big play. 4th and goal, the 2. Instead of kicking it again, a field goal, incomplete, intended for Addison. So they come up with nothing. Then Detroit, first play, Goff just heaves it, picked by Harrison Smith. Minnesota set up at their own 46. They settle for a Reichert 51-yard field goal, 10-9. This is like into the third quarter now. Detroit then goes 13 plays, 70 yards, and 7:25. Fourth and a long one at the Minnesota 10. Goff to Gibbs, 17-9. By the way, Gibbs scored 4 times in this game. But even now, it's still one possession game with 2:30 left in the third. Minnesota, 4th and 4 at Detroit 34. They decide to kick a field goal there, and Reichert goes wide right. So it's just missed opportunity after missed opportunity after missed opportunity. There's one more missed opportunity. Because then Detroit, 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 34. They're only up one possession. Van Ginkel almost picks it, could have taken it to the house. All right, and you know the rest from that point forward then. But we're talking about like a quarter and some change here. Detroit crushed him in the end. But that's almost 3 full quarters of football where you are completely playing with this team. And you had multiple things go against you. Both Darnold was off, Kevin O'Connell was off, Reichert was off, both on a kickoff and a field goal. The officials didn't do you any favors. So I'm just saying, as big of a blowout as this was, Minnesota does have that to think about.
Man, Van Ginkel. Like, if he had that, where does it put him in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation? Oh, boy. No, you're right. You're right.
All right, I'll give you what my guess was and what this is on the other side, and we'll review our adjusted season win totals from the entire 2024 season that we did on this show. It's coming back right here on A Numbers Game.
A Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
In sports betting and trading, understanding probability is the ultimate game changer. Unlock the secrets of high probability trading with Todd Bubba Horwitz, a former floor trader and seasoned sports bettor with over 45 years of experience. Visit BubbaTrading.com/VSiN today. Use promo code VSiN500 to save $500. Don't miss your chance to sharpen your strategy and gain the edge in your trading game. That's BubbaTrading.com/VSiN. Promo code VSiN500. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback. Corbin, yo, absolutely huge 20-1 cash in the first half of the show with the multiple Alanis Morissette references. And Kelley continuing the song a couple minutes later and Gill being like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I don't need a knife.
Death Row Pardon, just 2 minutes too late.
That Chance Copperpot. What the hell are you talking about, dude? I don't need a knife. Chance Copperpot finally got around to the Yacht Rock doc. That, along with my season-long NFL player prop unders sweep, were the highlight of my weekend. Michael McDonald is the man. Thanks for the recommendation, Gill, and shouts to the crack man. You got it, man. Yacht Rock doc on Max is awesome.
I still haven't watched it. There's too many docs.
Oh, come on, man.
There's too many documentaries. It was time for all this.
Put that to the top. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and Brian M. says, does a Patriots wide receiver get flagged if they score the touchdown, then stand next to the militia and pretend to fire with them? This is my point, Brian.
I would assume
this
yes.
is the hypocrisy. A Patriots receiver or someone playing in Foxborough needs to mimic the they need to just do it for, like,
you just want the
drag it
celebration,
out. Yeah. Fill the musket up with the powder, then do a whole thing, and then have them do it and see if you get flagged.
So the one I thought, now that you brought it up again, the one I thought about way too much with this yesterday is where's the line get drawn for what a weapon is, right? Because you have we've seen the baseball bat celebration. You're like, well, baseball bat, it's an item that's used in a game.
Right.
So maybe it could use for a weapon too, but it's a
multiple use instrument.
And was it JJ Watt who used to do like the slam the axe down, but like an axe is used by firefighters, so it's used to save lives too.
Yeah. We need a ruling, but we'll never get one.
It's like an airplane is like box cutters, like that's not okay.
As JC says, like Bill Belichick said, teams should be able to review everything. Talking about Matt LaFleur's thing. Nemesis Enforcer. Okay, now that you've had the live tree experience, hit Target and grab a pre-lit tree for 70% off. You can get pine-scented tinsel to authenticate. Nemesis Enforcer, with all due respect, we have a tradition in San Francisco where we go to this entire thing with, like, a whole Christmas tree yard, and we get it. It's part of the experience, so I don't think we can remove that. By the way, Brian M. did add, he said, the other thing ignored on the golf grounding play is the pass directly hits a lineman. Shouldn't that have at least been illegal touching?
No, because he's got to be downfield.
By the way, legal touching, just something you should be aware of in all phases of your life.
I just love that you're having as big of an issue with this one today, because I feel like this is every week in the NFL for me, where it's like, well, they're at the 30-yard line, so we don't care as much as when it's in the end zone. But like, it happens every week.
It just smelled of NBA style home cooking in an NFL game where we don't expect that in an NFL game.
I have a problem with maybe it's just the title of the rule, intentional grounding, because intent that presumes, right, someone's mindset is to.
Well, but this you bring it up, you make it even worse. What you're saying is right, because clearly Jared Goff's intent was to ground the ball. And instead, what the NFL does is clearly flag stuff that is unintentional grounding when they throw it deep and the receiver cuts off his pattern. So it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Rhodes at Rhodes knows. Oh, this is great, Rhodes. I like this. Not many care, but Brian Thomas had a touchdown yesterday that was ruled out the 2. Why not rule it a touchdown? So it has to be reviewed. Not to mention Peterson not challenging it. Part of the reason he got fired. His in-game is terrible. I actually didn't see that, Rhodes. I didn't
either. Yeah. I would actually say, though, the NFL usually does these refs usually do a pretty good job of letting that stuff go to make sure they can review it.
This is the one where this is a great one. Kevin Norman. Can we talk about how long it took the refs to correct? Oh, this is great. How long it took the refs to correct the 1st and 25 call given following the dead ball McMillan gun celebration. Replay assist can't call down and tell refs you're wrong. It's 15-yard penalty, now 1st and 10. What he's referring to is after that McMillan penalty, where the Bucs eventually got taken back to the, back, and then Baker hit him in the end zone for the touchdown. In between that, there was was it like a 3.5 minute delay? It was like an eternity.
Now, I'm going to go over.
Where the officials decided it was 1st and goal from the 24 or wherever it was. And even the announcers were like, it's not 1st and goal. Like, it's 1st and 10. It's not 1st and goal after that penalty. It took them forever to sort that out.
I love it. The broadcast teams definitely were a little bit more feisty yesterday, and I loved it. Like, they were whoever was on that call was going nuts about that. How is this taking so long? Also, when it first happened, Gill, I always assume it's a problem with the chains, right? Because you're like, oh, God, the old guys ran too far. Now we got to bring them back. But that didn't seem to be the problem, actually. Everybody was screwed up.
Last one. Cowboys_Cubs one. Yo, dog. So you're okay with the removal of the Christmas tree but not the install? It's like you're good at keeping the reservation but not taking the reservation. Your life has become a Seinfeld episode, Gill. It's exactly the same, just different. All right, I'll read one more. Tom F., T for 3. Since we now have magical expedited reviews, can they assist in judging that a quarterback is not intentionally grounding a ball, but is being hit and the pass flutters to the ground? I think a flag is over-officiated. I'm not sure what he's saying there. Jeffrey S. DeVore. Early 2025 results. My Broncos in the playoffs win. VEASAN returning to Sirius XM win. DK offering golf bets that include ties instead of dead heats. Long overdue win.
I did notice that as well last week.
There you go.
The DraftKings.
Okay. We'll read more of your tweets coming up. I guessed on that final Super Wildcard Weekend game between, again, the number 5 seed Vikings, my goodness, and the number 4 seed Rams, who, again, remember, the Rams were the team that decided, seeding schmeeding, we don't care. We don't care if we're hosting either the Vikings or the Lions, whoever loses that game. You know why? Because we beat the Vikings and we lost to the Lions in overtime. I thought Minnesota minus 2.5.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. This is one I actually missed the opener on. Don't think it opened anywhere 2.5. I think was what you usually saw. But this is getting bet today, Gill. We are down to 1.5 most places this morning.
Now, I am told there was a 3.5 to begin this.
A 3.5?
Yes. And that to me is shocking.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot believe, and this has nothing to do with last night's game. I just went through a whole litany of reasons why I think the Vikings are actually getting killed in a not so reflective way of reality, if you will, from last night's game. But still, it's the Rams. The Rams to me, and let's just talk macro now. I said this last week.
3.5. Wow.
The AFC, pardon me, the AFC is top heavy. Mm-hmm. We all kind of agree it's the Chiefs, the Ravens, or the Bills, in whatever order you have them. Me personally, I can't see any of the other 4 teams winning the AFC.
Agreed.
Okay. And remember, we'll show a bracket, and KC's slotted in the bracket, but we reseed in the NFL, so we really don't know who's playing who based on wins here. Right? If all the seeds win, the higher seeds win, then, Houston would go to Kansas City if they beat the Chargers. But we don't know because reseedings happen in case there are upsets. Or if a lower seed wins, regardless of what the spread is. Okay, in the NFC, and you and I had that we don't look at each other's power rankings. We each had those 3 AFC teams, 1, 2, 3, in whatever order. And then we had all 7 NFC playoff-bound teams, 4 through 10. Mm-hmm. I do feel the NFC is wide open, and I talked about this at the end of last week. For some reason, I can't get the Rams out of my head. I just feel like it all goes through Detroit, right? And the only 2 matchups I have are Detroit versus, in terms of bets in my account, I have Detroit versus Baltimore, I have Detroit versus Kansas City. So I like where I'm seated with those. But the Rams, for some reason, I just feel like they can beat any of these teams, and I wouldn't be shocked. Do I feel that way about Washington, Tampa Bay, or Green Bay? Let's be honest, not really. Though I think all of those teams are feisty and could win one. Do I feel that way about Philly? And Philly, Minnesota, and Detroit, let's put them in their category, in the AFC equivalent category of the 3 teams that people think are best in the NFC. But I do feel, I guess what I'm saying is, while I can't see anyone in the AFC overcoming the top 3, I do think the Rams are live. Now, would I be shocked if they lost the first game? No, Minnesota's the favorite team, right? But I do feel they're the team most ripe for a long run of the non-top 3 seeds. Agree, disagree?
Agreed. We both kind of said that Friday, but I'm going to stick with what I said last week, what Drew said as well. I'm not going to be shocked if it's any of these 7 teams. The biggest thing that changed my mind over the weekend, though, about how these teams do get stacked, it was last night. That was impressive by Detroit. The fact that this is, okay, the defense answering when it needed to answer with all the injuries that they have.
Anzalone was
back.
Great.
Yep. And the one question I had big time was what was going to happen with this running game with Montgomery out, because that 1-2 punch was so effective. And I've always been high on Jahmyr Gibbs, but my God, Gill, what he's done the past couple weeks on his own, not with anybody to spell him of major consequence, has been extremely impressive. Now the Lions grab that bye. I think it's going to be tough to beat this team.
Oh, it's absolutely going to be tough. And it does go through them, and number 1 seeds by and large get there, right? So it goes through Kansas City, it goes through Detroit. I'm just thinking if somebody can coach his way into upset after upset, it would be the LA Rams.
Yeah, and I will not count Baker Mayfield out. Oh boy, the way Baker's playing right now.
What a great game that is.
It's
Jake Daniels
awesome.
And the Commandos against the Buccaneers. Super Wildcard Weekend. Cannot wait. We'll look at those adjusted season win totals that we did throughout the show, throughout the year. How we did. That's next. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Coming up, top of the hour, Money Moves. Usually with Stormy Bonatoni, but Stormy on assignment today. She is at the FCS Championship. So it's going to be JVT and Jeff Schwartz today on the show.
Montana State, North Dakota State. I only had to check that 4 times.
Falika's on who again?
Falika's on Montana State, laying the points.
All right, after Money Moves with JVT and Jeff, prop points with John Hansen, and Make It Rain with Adam Shine. That's from noon to 2 on Money Moves. That's next right here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Which brings us to our G-Bank Best Bets of the day. Kelley, I have only made one, and that was the Rams +3. That's the only bet I've made so far.
So you caught a 3 yesterday.
I caught a 3.
That's awesome. Okay.
I bought it up to the 3, actually, to be honest with you.
I am waiting. I don't think I'm going to get this. I was hoping to tease Rams up with the Ravens, but the Ravens, I think the Ravens are only going to continue to take money here. I think the bigger question with that Steelers-Ravens game, I think, better chance it hits 10 or better chance it goes back to 8.5. I'm actually asking you. Sorry. I know I barely phrased that as a question.
10 is definitely the resistance point.
Right.
For sure.
I don't think we see past that, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw 10.
I think it's going to bat around all week. I really do. Like this other one, the Chargers and the Texans is batting around all the time.
Yes,
our
but
whole show.
The two big moves while we've been on the air. Chargers Texans is just 3 to 2.5 back and forth, almost everywhere I'm looking. And then Vikings, it's pretty much 1.5 everywhere now.
Oh man. Kelley's also, you on the Pacers and the Heat tonight? What are you doing?
I got a lot of bets. Pacers in the account already laid 8. Heat have a question mark next to them because I'm probably playing them, Gill. Like a 90% chance. If you've been checking out what's going on with Miami Heat at all, Jimmy Butler causing quite a interruption with how this team has been playing. It's gotten so bad though, Gill. At some point, I trust Spo too much to let this get too ugly, and this would be the perfect bounce back spot tonight here in Sacramento. So
Pat Riley says they're not trading him, right?
Yeah, that's what he says. Jimmy Butler says he doesn't want to play anymore. They suspended him. The Players Association is going to get involved here.
Suspended 7 games.
Yeah.
But this is the difference between the NBA and the NFL. Tyreek Hill can mouth off all he wants and say, I'm done with the Dolphins. And the Dolphins will be like, no, you're not. But in the NBA, these guys get their way all the time.
Yeah, they do. The problem is, I think we've been a little too stubborn on both sides here. Like Pat Riley, I love you, man, and you're a smart guy. Like, it's not worth wasting another year. Just send him away and get something back for him, which I think is going to.
What's he so angry about?
I don't know. It's Jimmy Butler, man. I don't know. Like, you guys always angry. NFL for me, okay. Chargers Texans under 44. I laid the 7.5 with the Bills on the opener, and then a couple of Eagles money line parlays, Bills and Ravens. Chalky.
Best Bets brought to you by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. That's Best Bets, by the way. If you're serious about sports betting, you need the G-Bank Visa Signature Card. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when you put your own money on the card. G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're typically saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees right there. Right now, for a limited time, you'll receive a $250 bonus after you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. We get tweets at Beatty the Book. Jack14770-548. Pro tip for the tree next year: put it in an old fitted sheet to carry in the house. Needles contain, no sap on the hands. Jason Stark, it happened in the Atlanta game on the final drive. The receiver was arguing with the refs that he was doing the first down signal. It's way too subjective. Talking about whether it's a first down signal or mimicking gunfire. Jaime Leyva, have you mentioned the Costco apartment living situation to Gill? Tuning in late. If so, my apologies. Have a fantastic day. Explain.
So Costco is coming out with like apartments that they're going to be putting on top of or next to basically Costco's, and that they have like gyms and pools, and it's supposed to be like a live there and never leave situation.
Will they dumb waiter up things to you, up to your apartment?
I don't know. I immediately texted my father this story though and said, how happy is your girlfriend going to be about moving into a Costco? Because he is absolutely the guy that would do this.
With that, Warren on Twitter at WP Lifted. He says, Gill, Washington going for 2 to put them up by 6 made no sense with 4 minutes left in the game. The line for the Super Contest was 4.5. We were 1 game out of first going into week 18. Oh, did that make you lose in the end? Is that what you're saying? Oh, the James Lloyd. Yo, did you see Bryce Young pull the Steph Curry when he threw the touchdown pass? Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Ball's in the air. He knows it's going to be caught. He turns his back and starts celebrating. Robert Sarajian. Chiefs scored 30 a couple times, but that was an OT, Panthers-Bucks. It's more than 30, Robert. It's above 30. The Chiefs did, in fact, score 30 twice. You are correct. But the stat is, which two teams never scored more than 30? Which three teams? I'm
not even going to speak meanly about that getting confused, because everybody who's dropped that stat this year, I feel like someone's come back with that.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying. It's over 30. Lawrence Anderson in San Francisco over the holidays. Best experience, Waymo. Have you driven one of the? Have you gotten in one of these cars?
No.
San Francisco is
self-driving,
overrun by these Waymo self-driving cars.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm never gonna do it, Gill. But the first few rides, I'm gonna be the guy back there that's like, all right.
I just say,
what are we doing here?
I just don't understand. Like, let's say somebody on the street just decides to open up gunfire on you. What do? Like, you can't tell the driver to get out of the way.
This is what I'm talking about. Do they lock you in? I better be able to open up that door and tuck and roll if I want to.
Little Gracie went, and she said, I said, how'd you like it? She said, I would do it again, but with friends. I wouldn't do it alone.
That's what I'm talking about. That would creep me out.
Trip Tepper. The inability to clearly define the NFL's weapon pantomime penalty illustrates the utter absurdity of the rule. It's impossible to define, since all these artistic gestures are open to a different interpretation. Well said, Trip.
Well said.
Well said.
Get a couple questions.
So many
for
of
you
these. Yes,
games.
Please go ahead.
Okay. One, I just got my question answered. I do see one prominent offshore shop that just went to 10 on the Ravens.
Wow.
So there's that.
There's that.
Any other bets that you're eyeing early in the week already? And are you like Commanders Bucks? If this goes to 3.5, you in on Commanders?
Yes. If it goes to 3.5, absolutely. Yes.
I have a feeling we see that at some point this week.
Here's my question to you, a more sports talk radio question. Which team in Super Wildcard Weekend has the most pressure on it? Which team has the most pressure on it?
Oh, this is a good question.
I have my answer.
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens. Just because of all the Lamar and the playoff stuff.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fair. They have pressure on them every round of the playoffs because of that. And you know what? I'll probably be betting against Lamar at some point because of it.
It's either Baltimore or the other answer would be Minnesota. Because you win 14 games, you don't want to get bounced week one.
Okay, so I think I'm kind of thinking about Buffalo a little like that. Like, okay, Josh Allen, if we're going to hand you the MVP and this was your year, right? Your year over a significantly better statistical performance by Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
You better get out there and prove it, and that means win a couple games in the playoffs.
Say it again, Kelley. Significantly better.
Significantly better.
Let's take a moment before we leave here, before JVT comes on for Money Moves, to review, because Kelley and I did this all season long, so we'd be remiss not to review this. We did adjusted season win totals. Remember our Morgan & Morgan adjusted season
Wednesdays,
win
baby.
total Wednesdays. We did it all year. We didn't do this every week. Specifically with the adjusted season win totals, but we did enough where it's good enough to go back and review. We did this several times. I ended up making 9 of these wagers during the season. So these are not pre-flop win totals. These are during the season. And I end up going 6-3 for plus 2.80 units. The only ones I missed on was the Dolphins under 7.5. They cleared that with 8 wins. The Steelers under 9.5, we know how that went. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the Niners over 9.5, which is probably the worst of the bunch. But everything else hit. Jags under 6.5, easy peasy. Commodores over 9.5, and then I got frisky and went Commodores over 11.5. Bang! Bears under 7.5 was the easiest. Steelers under 10.5.
We finally got one.
Finally got a Steelers one right. And the Browns under 4.5. They only ended up with 3 wins. Now, I don't say this to say, hey, look at me, look, I won. I say this to say, again, when we talk on this show about the betting markets, the betting vehicles that one should gravitate towards. We talk about pre-flop, the Drew Dinsick thing with alternate season win totals. Those are absolutely not priced efficiently. But during the season, adjusted season win total markets are a great way to win money, tried and true year after year, because it is not going to be priced as efficiently as you might think they would be. And you, based on schedule, can make really smart bets, as my friend Kelley Bydlon did as well.
Yeah, the futures as a whole, not fantastic this year, Gill, but win totals were great. 3-2 on preseason win totals, including an alt-under on the Giants that was like plus 210, and then the in-season adjusted ones like you're talking about. That was What were you? 6-3? I think I beat you by one.
You
7
did
and
7-2.
I didn't add.
Oh, 7-3. Pardon me. 7-3. So 6-3 and 7-3. I believe that's 13-6 collectively on the show.
That's pretty good. I mean, a couple of these we shared, but
and again, we don't mean to brag. We don't mean to boast.
I mean, yeah.
But we do like hot butter on breakfast toast.
Don't get me wrong. Sorry
I'm
about
just saying.
49ers to win the NFC West, Bengals to win the AFC North, Seahawks to make the playoffs.
Yeah, these are just these adjusted during the season. I'm just saying, we're not saying it to say, hey, look, we're saying it to say, remember these next year. You ought to bet them yourself.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to win on them just as you.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.